In the crisp, rust-colored autumn of 2007, Claire Mitchell, 29 years old, recently divorced and emotionally drained, returned to her childhood home just outside of Charlottesville, Virginia. A quiet, soft-spoken social worker with gentle eyes and calloused hands, Claire had barely escaped the suffocating grip of her toxic marriage to Ethan Rowe, a man whose perfect smile concealed a festering darkness. Her parents had passed years ago, leaving the Victorian house in Briarglen Estates to her in the will. Built in 1921, it was a sprawling, time-worn beauty with creaking floors, stained glass windows, and a tower attic that had remained locked since she was a child. The locals, of course, whispered strange things, cursed things, stories about lights flickering at odd hours, about furniture shifting in empty rooms, about shadows lingering too long in mirrors. But Claire had never believed in ghosts. Not then. Ethan's temper had always simmered just below the surface, like water about to boil. But something changed after they moved into Briarglen House. His outbursts turned cruel, calculating. No longer just anger, but something colder. He'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, mumbling names Claire didn't recognize. Some nights he'd stand at the foot of their bed, staring at her in the dark, whispering, "You don't belong here." One night, his voice dropped into a guttural rasp, unrecognizable. "She doesn't want you," he hissed, his eyes wide and bloodshot. Claire, trembling, had barely whispered, "Who are you talking to?" He didn't answer, just stared, just listened. But the worst came during a thunderstorm. Lightning clawed across the sky. Rain beat against the old glass panes like frantic fingers. Claire had been asleep, but a sound, a strange, rhythmic creaking, dragged her awake. She followed it, barefoot and shivering, to their bedroom. Ethan was kneeling on the floor, weeping uncontrollably, his nails digging into his own face. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I didn't mean to leave you up there. Please, stop. Please, Sarah." Claire's heart turned to ice. She looked up. Above the bed, a noose swayed from the ceiling fan, and in it, a ghost. A translucent young woman dangled limply, her head twisted at a grotesque angle, her long black hair dripping with blood that wasn't there. Her pale feet swung inches above Ethan's head. Her eyes were open, locked on Claire. Claire's scream never made it past her throat. The air around her grew thick, electric, suffocating. Then she blinked, and the woman was gone, but the rope still swayed. Claire fled that night, threw clothes into a suitcase and ran into the storm, barefoot and crying. She didn't stop until she reached the edge of town and collapsed into a diner booth, soaked to the bone, shaking. She wasn't alone for long. Ethan's mother, Lorraine Rowe, arrived 20 minutes later, eyes rimmed with guilt and mascara. Claire, exhausted and desperate, demanded the truth. "There was someone before you," Lorraine finally said. "A girl named Sarah Langdon. An artist. Quiet. Fragile. She and Ethan had been engaged years ago, but something went wrong. Sarah stopped leaving the house. Her final artwork was described as disturbed, violent. And then she was found in the attic, hanged, officially ruled a suicide. But neighbors swore they'd heard screams the night Sarah died. And Ethan, he never spoke of her again. The Rose, ashamed, covered it up, burned her paintings, paid off officials, moved on. But Sarah didn't. Weeks later, Ethan was arrested after attacking a co-worker with a paperweight. When police found him, he was huddled under a stairwell, bleeding and whispering to himself. When questioned, he simply said, "She told me they all have to pay." Claire, now haunted by memories and dreams of the attic, turned to Father Elias, a retired exorcist who worked with abuse survivors. He listened, then agreed to help. But from the moment he stepped into Briar Glen House, his expression changed. He grew pale. His hands trembled. Sorry for the interruption. If you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button below. So, let's continue the video. There's rage here, he whispered. Not just a spirit. This house is her body now. In the attic, he uncovered a hidden panel in the floor. Inside it, wrapped in decaying cloth, were dozens of Sarah's drawings, all charcoal, all smeared in ash, portraits of Ethan and Sarah, and a small child Claire didn't recognize. But one drawing stood out. It showed Sarah hanging in the attic, her face twisted in agony, and Ethan standing beneath her, watching. On the back, in red ink, he watched me hang. Claire burned the drawing that night, but the fire curled into the shape of a woman's face. The next morning, Claire awoke outside. Her feet were cut, her nightgown covered in dirt. Her fingernails were cracked as if she'd been digging. Her bedroom door still locked from the inside. Then she found a photograph tucked under her pillow. A photo of Sarah, laughing beside a man Claire had never seen. Andrew Rowe, Ethan's younger brother. Claire had never met him. Hours later, the news broke. Andrew Rowe was found dead in his apartment, strangled with an extension cord. No sign of forced entry, no signs of struggle, just terror frozen on his face. From that night forward, Claire wasn't alone. She'd wake to the sound of a rope tightening. She'd look into her mirror and see breath fog it from behind her. In dreams, she was in the attic again, her feet dangling, her voice silenced by rope. She tried to bless the house. Priests refused to enter. Paranormal investigators fled after one night. One even went missing for 12 hours, only to be found in the crawl space, eyes wide, whispering, "She's still hanging. I saw her swinging." Claire eventually sold her car, quit her job, and moved far away. But Sarah followed. Photos moved by themselves. Her phone rang from old, disconnected numbers. One night, her laptop turned on by itself and played a distorted recording of Sarah's voice whispering, "Help me finish it." Claire began researching Sarah's final months, digging through hospital records, art reviews, newspaper clippings, and what she discovered made her blood run cold. Sarah had been pregnant. The baby never made it. There had been complications, and Ethan had refused to take her to the hospital. Father Elias returned one final time, determined to break the curse. He entered Briar Glen with holy water and scripture, but within minutes, he staggered out screaming, eyes blackened, arms covered in deep claw marks. He whispered just one thing before collapsing. She doesn't want peace. She wants justice. Briar Glen House still stands, overgrown with ivy and silence. Its online listing quietly disappeared. Real estate agents avoid the address entirely. Locals say on windless nights, the curtains shift, and in the attic window, they see her, a pale figure in white, swaying, watching. And if you listen closely, sometimes you'll hear the creak of a rope, sometimes a scream that never fades. Claire doesn't sleep through the night anymore, and somewhere deep in her bones, she knows Sarah's not done yet. She's just waiting for the last name on her list. Still watching, but not subscribed. A lot of effort goes into making these videos. When you subscribe and share, it keeps me motivated to create more. So please, make sure to subscribe.